BJFDA, which is actually Bartlett Jones Supernatural Detective Agency, which, believe it or not, is a video game company, despite of the name. I was very surprised too when I applied for the job and noticed that it was a video game company. So I'm very excited to be here with you. It's a pretty good turnout. It's a lot of people. Thanks for coming, especially for Thursday night. I know how it can be. I was in college too, of course, just a few years, 2 years ago, and that's the reason I'm here. I'm a recent grad. I've been only like a year. I've been a year and a half with Bartlett Jones, so I still have a fresh knowledge of what it is to, graduate from college and then start looking for a job. How many of you are in that, almost to get to that stage, like you graduate either this year or in 6 months or next year? Okay, it's a big chunk of you. So maybe this is what I felt when I was there. I was very anxious. I didn't know. It's when it starts getting real. You're gonna get to the real world. You're finally, okay, I'm done with college. I don't have more assignments from the school. Now I'm getting to actually the real assignments. And all the job searching, I know how actually anxious can be scary a little bit. But the best thing you can do is be prepared, right? Know what you have to do. Just do some research and know what you are going to expect or what is expected from you. And that's why I'm here. I'm going to try to share with you, to transfer you everything I learned, from being on the search job, on interview, all the interviews that I made, some tips that I learned, everything that was passed to me from instructors, colleagues, and everything that I researched. Of course, it's just an hour presentation, so I'm just going to give you some of what you will actually find helpful for you. So let's see. So that was basically what I saw on the monitor of my laptop for 6 months of me looking for a job. I started a little bit before graduation, because up to that point you're already a professional, right? You're already studied everything you have to study. You're just a few months to graduate because you're making your final project or anything else that you need to graduate. So you're basically already a professional without the title. So you should start looking for jobs now. Don't be afraid to apply for jobs. But you need to start looking for jobs and I start applying to them. This is what I saw. Every day for 6 months, I had like at least 6 websites of job listings, and I would go through all the job positions that I consider I was qualified for. That they were looking for entry programmers, or that they weren't actually requiring industry experience, because if you don't have industry experience, you're out of college, right? So that was basically what I did for 6 months, just go into these job applications and fill them. But to fill them, you need to have minimum requirements, right? Some paperwork. There's some paperwork to be done, and you can't just go to any job application and just send whatever you want, right? You need to send whatever they tell you to get. So one of those documents that they're always going to ask you for is a resume, right? Everyone knows what a resume is. A few people know how to actually build one and stand out. How to make a resume that stands out. Of course, there are a lot of tips, so I'm just going to go through the most important ones that I remember. For me, it was hard to make a resume because basically you need to put who you are, what you know, how long have you known it for, where do you learn it, how we know that you know it, right? Basically, you need to put your experience, you need to put your education, your skills, everything, and all of that needs to be in one page. That was hard. That's hard for me. I remember when I started doing it, you just need to keep iterating over it, right? Just do it once, just do it again, review it, do it again, and give it to someone that can give you real feedback. Instructors, grammar teachers, that they can just see your resume and be like, well, don't put a picture on it, which is a big tip, please. Don't put pictures of you. Like with your diploma and whatnot, don't put that. They're just distracting and they're not very relevant for the resume. So it's a very important document. Every employer is going to ask you for it. They're going to read it. Maybe the CEO will read it. Everyone from the company is going to read it if you get fired, of course. But it's important documents. Just take your time on making it. Don't rush it. Just go iterate, send it to instructors that they will give you good feedback, and you will have a good resume. It needs to be perfect in one sense. Perfect for you, that actually represents who you are, and also perfect in the sense of grammar, on the tense that you're using, on the tone. Remember, it's a first person, sorry, it's not first person. I mean, the resume already knows, the employer already knows that you're talking about yourself. You don't need to talk in present tense in the resume. That's one tip. So just need to make sure that it's perfect, because they receive plenty of resumes, and they will look at anything just to get rid of one more. So you need to put a lot of relevant information to make sure that they know that you stand out, right? So make sure to put your education, academic achievements, any experience that you have. Of course, I understand that chances are that you don't have industry experience because you are in college. There's always chances to do internships, and always aim for doing some personal projects, getting teams, make something, anything, game, renderer, rasterizer, anything you want, and just put it there. If you don't have any experience, just put that there. And maybe you don't have any experience at all in the game industry, you just have your college degree, then put some experience, relevant experience. Maybe you're the vice president of the debate club of college. Don't go to high school, just college. That's as far as you can go. Or, that demonstrates you have interpersonal skills, which are also valued by employers, right? And GPA, make sure GPA is there. I know that a lot of people, well, I know a lot of people that they say that GPA doesn't matter. It matters. It's the only evidence that they have from you. Maybe some people say that it's not, it doesn't evaluate, like a GPA doesn't say that you're a smart person or that you're like that you are qualified for the job, but it basically says that you did all your assignments, you showed up to class, you made all your projects, you aced all your projects, so that basically you have a discipline, you have good work ethic, so that it's valued a lot, sometimes more than just the skills. So just going back to looking for a job, you're gonna find the job application, and every job application is gonna ask for the resume. So you build your resume, you already made it like 20 times, and you're sure that it's perfect, that you like it, that your instructors like it, that your teachers like it, and then you see a position that you're interested in, and then you post that. Okay. Then there's another field in the job applications that sometimes it says it's optional, but it's not really optional. It's actually, for some cases, it's mandatory, and it serves as a filter if you don't have it. And that's the cover letter. If you don't know what it is, it's just basically a space for you to put what you didn't put in your resume. And also, you have more flexibility. It's a chance for you to show your personality, talk about some projects that you didn't talk about in your resume, and it's a chance for you to actually talk with the company itself, right? It's very simple to do. Well, it's simple to say, but the practices can get a little bit annoying. But basically, a cover letter has an introduction, basically saying why you want to go to that company, and explaining in very brief phrases why you think you're a good fit for that particular position. Make sure to name the company and make sure to name the position that you're interested in. If not, it's going to look like a template, and everyone knows how a template is, and that's unprofessional. So you have that introduction, then you have a body where you can explain or talk about some projects that you've been working on, of course, that are related to the position you're applying in. And make sure that those projects are not in your resume, because you already stated in your resume. So your cover letter is another space to talk about that. And then at the conclusion, you will have your contact information, thank them for reading all your documents, and maybe some links to some demos that you may have. As I said, it's more flexible, make it unique for the employer. They will notice templates, and always do it. I know job searching get tedious. You just keep doing the same stuff over and over, and maybe you keep getting rejection mails saying like, oh, we appreciate you applying for us, thanks for your time, you have amazing skills, but we wanted to go with this candidate or another candidate. You will get that a lot. But it doesn't matter, just always do the cover letter. It's always a good to have, and it will help you stand out from other candidates. So while you're doing that application, they may ask you for demo reels and portfolio. And if they don't ask you, just put it on the cover letter. Because this is the best proof of concept for employers. If you show them demos, links, videos of what you have done, that's already great evidence for them that you actually know what you're saying that you know. I know it's kind of sound obvious, but I know a lot of people that they don't do it, and you keep in that loop of just sending your job application without any proof that you actually know what you know. So just make sure to have that, and when you have it, when you have some demos, some code samples, or depending on what branch of the game industry you are, make sure it showcases your skills. And if you're applying for a particular position, let's say in the engineer, just for asking, how many of you are in an engineer degree or computer science or software engineer? Okay, a big part of you. What about everyone else? It's art? Anyone from art? One? Okay. Anything else, or just curiosity? Okay, that's cool. So I'm gonna focus more on engineer. So make sure if you're applying for an AI position, make sure that you have a A-star pathfinding visualization demo. And then you can show them, hey, I know how to do pathfinding, I know how to do A-star, here's my demo showcasing you, I don't know, anything that comes to mind to use it. Like for example, Google Maps clone. You can do it on your own demo, and that's perfect. And this is very important. Make sure they're easy to access. Don't put like a 2 gig zip file for your projects on some website, some shady website. I mean, they're not going to download that. Just put it on a website. If you have a game, put it on a web player like Unity web players or anything that they can just go to that website, play your game. They will be like, oh, this is amazing, or see your demo, or anything. But it has to be easy accessible. Maybe you have a YouTube channel, post videos there, and just make sure that it's very clear for them. Sorry, and just make sure that it's very clear for them what you did, and so they can see your skills. If you have a website, that's amazing. I have an example here. Like a few months before I started to look for a job, I asked my sister-in-law to, make a website, because as I'm selling some intelligence, it's a good way to showcase yourself. And as you can see, I have some code samples that are very simple. Like I remember doing a lot of interview tests, and of course I got rejected from them. But I actually put a lot of effort on those tests. So I just removed some, I just cleaned them up and I put them there. So you have like a single linked list, or a simple vector class, particle system, memory manager, just a Win32 console class, which is pretty cool. I actually put a lot of effort into that. And I wanted to showcase it, and they will see that, and they will appreciate, and they will see your coding style. And it's very simple. In this case, they will just go to the website, click a link, and it will show them the whole text without even downloading it or anything. There I also have a video of my final project that we did in Full Sail. Actually, I graduated on Full Sail University in 2015, so that's about 2 years. And our final project was make a game from scratch. So we had to make our own engine, our own game engine, which was amazing because it gave us a lot of flexibility to be creative and just learn a lot in whichever system that we wanted. I'm very passionate about collisions and making the game feel real, and I made the collision system, and I learned a lot of spatial partitioning, collision detection and reaction. And I was able to do some videos on that because I implemented a system. It's called binary spatial partitioning, binary spatial partition 3. I don't remember right now the name, but I did a tutorial on that, and it's pretty interesting what we did. So I just put it there. That way the employers can see, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. He actually knows collisions. He actually made this. The demo is pretty cool. He has a kick-ass game. So that's why I feel it was a pretty cool game. Okay, so that's all you can do when it comes to job applications. So you already have your resume, you have your cover letter, and you have your demos, and that's all. You finish your job application for that particular job, and that's all you can do with a job application. But there's something else you can do to just increase your chances by 500%. And it's not related to tech skills, it's social skills, networking. Network. I can't stress that enough. It will help you a lot in the future. Because sometimes it's not what you know, sometimes it's just who you know. So what I mean by network, just talk to people in the industry. Go just like this, like you're here today in the GDW, just talk with people, ask for business cards, make contacts, because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. Maybe 5 years from now, you're looking for a job, and your friend Timmy, he has a kick-ass video game company, and they're looking for a programmer. And then you're looking for a job, and he goes like, hey man, I know you since 5 years, and you're an amazing person, and just come on board and work with us. And that's amazing, your friend Timmy just saved you from being unemployed. So this is a very important skill, definitely. It's a very good one to have. As I said, it will give you a higher success rate on interviews and actually finding the job. If you have someone in the company that you're applying to, your resume immediately goes from being in the bottom of the pile to be in the hands of the CEO or of the HR or the tech supervisor, because they have a mouth recommendation from someone that they already hired. So if they are telling them, hey, we should hire this guy because he's great, or she's great, or this person's great, then you're done. That's a huge step in. That's what I want to say. Of course, later you need to prove that you're actually qualified for the job. Like, if you don't know coding, or you don't know if you fit the necessities that they need, then you're still not, you're not gonna get the job. But networking, it's key. The game industry is very small. It's very, very small. Basically, everyone knows each other. I have coworkers that were in the same company as instructors back in Florida where I studied, and that just happens a lot. I go to LinkedIn, which is a very great tool. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile right now, make one and start growing your network. But I would say in LinkedIn, that I have contacts that have third connections with people in EA, and I could in any moment just talk with my closest friends and be like, hey man, I'm looking for a job. Can you talk to your friend at EA? And maybe they're looking for something, and just pass my name around. You know, I'm a good programmer. I'm a good person. You know, just give me a hand, right? So make a LinkedIn account. It's pretty useful. You never know what happens. And so some tips for networking: go to any events, as I said. Go to talks like this. Go to game jams. I don't know, any of you went to the Global Game Jam last week? Yeah, that's amazing. I'm pretty sure that maybe you didn't have a great game. I'm pretty sure you did, that was amazing, but you made amazing relationships with people, or pretty crappy ones. But anyhow, you met people, which is the important one, which is the important thing. I met most of the amazing programmers through game jams. I didn't have many good games, but I met pretty good people that I still keep in contact with. So just go to game jams. You'll learn a lot. Maybe you're lucky enough to be with someone that's been in the industry or knows how to make games. So just go there, and always has business cards. If you don't have a business card right now, think of getting one. Hire a designer, or just maybe you have a friend that you contacted through networking, and he'll make you your business card for free, or maybe not. But you need a business card. That's the point I want to come across. It's very easy to remember. Just give it around. It's like, oh, awesome, I remember you. You know. So remember, network. It will open you more doors than you can think of. And so let's go through like an interactive example. Let's say we have little Jimmy. Jimmy found a cool job application in a company that he was always looking forward, which is let's say Bethesda. He saw an AI position. He was very interested on it. He made his resume. His resume, it's pretty cool. He reviewed it 25 times. By a lot of people, and it's a great resume. He also has a cover letter, which is oriented to Bethesda itself, and asking and him explaining why he's a good fit for the AI entry position. And he also has, as I said, an A-star pathfinding visualization at his demo. He posts his demos too. And he also has his friend Billy, who is in the EA, but Billy has a connection with, let's say, I don't know, Jimmy. So we have Timmy, Billy, Jimmy. So Billy knows Jimmy, and Timmy will say to Billy, hey man, can you tell your friend back in Bethesda to pass my name around? And since you're such good friends, it's gonna do it for you. And then after all that, HR loved your resume, and they decide to give you a call for an interview. So you get to stage 1 of the interview process. I just put a lot of phones because you're gonna have a lot of this, either with the same company or with a lot of companies. So this first phone interview, it's basically just a screening part. Just making sure that you're a valid candidate, and not technical wise, but more like You're going to check your background, your interests, what you're interested in the company, if you're willing to relocate, if what's your expected salary, just simple questions like that. Maybe they'll ask you some tech theory questions, but very simple, like, I don't know, what's a virtual keyword? What does the static keyword means? Sorry, what's a virtual function? And what's hierarchy? Just polymorphism, just simple stuff like that, just to make sure, like, okay, this guy knows simple programming, simple knowledge, what we're looking for. What I recommend is research the company. They're always going to ask you at the end, hey, do you have any questions? It can be about the job, it can be about the company. If you research the company, you see that they were just acquired by a bigger company. Ask them about that. Hey, how's been the transition between being independent and now being acquired by, let's say, 2K or any other company? And that's going to be good because they're going to remember, oh, right, we talked about it with this guy and it was pretty cool to be able to talk with him or her. Be yourself, but nicer. But mostly be honest. Because anyone can tell when someone's faking personality-wise, so that's already something that people don't like, right? Especially employers that will recognize if you are faking. Just be yourself. I know it's hard to be calm and confident in these interviews because you're just starting, but that's key. If they see that you're just being yourself, you're just being honest, you're just being cool about it and asking questions and don't being arrogant, you're being confident but not arrogant and being humble enough, they will like that. It's just see it as talking with someone, with a friend that you respect a lot because you don't want to be like very informal, like, hey, yo, how's it going? I like your company and stuff. Just be very respectful, but yourself. Just be honest. And this is a good one. Always allow yourself to make mistakes. Don't worry too much of making it perfect. Sometimes they don't expect you to make it perfect. So make room for mistakes, don't worry about it, don't sweat it. If you are wrong, just say, oh, sorry, I meant, just be cool about it, don't worry. It's like you're talking with a friend. So that first interview, if you did good, if you pass the simple screening, if they see like, okay, this person is interesting, let's continue, let's proceed to the next stage. Then you're gonna go to a stage 2, or like to call it through N-1, because you don't know how many times they're gonna actually ask you in a technical interview or another interview. So this is a more technically intense interview. It's not just, as I said, what is the static keyword do? They're actually going to start asking you problems to give solutions to coding problems or engineering problems. In the case of artists, they will ask you for demo reels or to do something with lighting. But in this case, the most important skill that they're evaluating is not just your skills, they're actually looking for your problem-solving skills. Because sometimes it's more important how you got to the answer than the answer itself. So, because we want to see, as I said, your critical thinking, how did you manage to get to the reflection vector algorithm? Maybe let's say you don't know it, but you know linear algebra, and you can just go processing each of the important things that you need to know, and they will see your reasoning behind it, and that's what they care most about. So the good way to do this is think out loud. While you're solving your problem, the solution, just everything that comes to your mind, just say it. That's perfect. That's gold for the employer. That way, as I said, they see what's going through your mind. And if you don't know the answer of what you're doing, they will help you. If they see that you know what you're doing, they're gonna give you some guidance. Or if you commit a mistake, they're gonna be like, well, that's not what the dot product is for. Use the cross product for that, right? And it's just stuff like that. Because you are giving them information for them to help you. They're not going to give you the answer. They're going to give you tips and clues to get to the answer. So just think of that, literally. Like, let's say the problem is FizzBuzz. Do you know FizzBuzz? No? Basically, you will print on the screen a fizz. You will go through from the numbers from 1 to 100, and you will print fizz in the screen if the numbers are multiple of 3, or you will print buzz if it's multiple of 5, and you will print FizzBuzz if it's a multiple of 3 and 5. So literally, you will go through your mind, say like, okay, we'll do a for loop, let's go from 1 to 100, and then we're gonna do some conditional statements. We're gonna check for the mod 3, this number mod 3, and if that's equal to 0, then that means it's a multiple of 3. That's exactly what you need to do. Just talk out loud what you're saying. And if you're wrong, or maybe you are not sure what you're doing, you can actually doubt. You will be like, I'm not sure. Maybe I should go this way. So don't be afraid. That's gold for employers. Just think out loud. And this is also an important one. Make it work first, and then focus on making it beautiful, or making it good. Like it looks, it's optimized, it's polished, it's clean, has comments. But just focus first on making it work. Maybe you have a nested for loop, which is pretty bad in some cases. And then you see like, oh, well, I don't need to do a nested for loop. I can just do this, and this, and then you just clean it. Sometimes they don't care about you optimizing it. They just care that you managed to find a way to solve the problem. And maybe you say like, well, I don't like this nested for loop, and then people are like, no, don't worry about it, you got it, let's go to the next one. That's basically what it is. Normally, you'll have 5 questions. That's a little bit hard to remember, or it's a ratio of that. The first 2 are gonna be very simple, 3 and 4 are gonna be hard, and the last one, it's gonna be very challenging. But don't worry, they're not expecting you to solve them all. They're expecting you to see, they want to see how you got to the solution, if you get to the solution. So don't sweat it. They're not expecting you to always answer all the questions. But it's good if you answer them. Just don't get too stressed about it. So let's say that you got the call from Bethesda. Well, Timmy got the call from Bethesda, and he did pretty well on the tech interview. He's almost done, and there's one last interview that they're gonna do to you, which is an on-site non-technical interview, the final boss. Here, it's not about tech skills anymore. They already know what you know, or they already evaluated as much as you know. They already read your resume, they already know, they already gave you problems, whatnot. This is a more interpersonal skills interview. They're gonna see if you're a good fit for the culture of the company, if you're a nice person, if you're not a jerk, if you actually are interested in the company, and that you have ambition of, just keep working with them or keep growing your career. So, yeah. So basically, that's the most important part of this interview. Just be yourself. As I said, be yourself, but nicer, and be this time more interested in the company. Research more the company, ask about the company, and sometimes just make conversation with something else. Just talk about, maybe the job is in Seattle and you're here, and you can ask them in Seattle like, hey, how's the weather here? What do you guys do out of work? Anything, just to make friends with them. Because maybe at the end of the day, that interview is not gonna work, but you make good contacts that you can contact in the future. And another icebreaker is always ask, hey, what game are you playing right now? I know it's cliche, but that actually works a lot. So just make sure in this last interview, to be friendly with them and show your best self. Another thing, as I said, interpersonal skills are crucial. Maybe you're a genius programmer, you're amazing in everything, but if you're not a good fit for the company, in culture-wise, if you don't seem to be very friendly, if you don't work together very well, they're not going to hire you. They would rather hire an above-than-average programmer, which is a good programmer, and that he's like an amazing person with the team. He fits right with the culture. They would rather choose that guy than the genius programmer that I told you about. So just keep that in mind. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be a genius programmer. You should be a genius programmer, but also a nice genius programmer. Yeah, that's perfect. A nice genius programmer. So if everything went well, you aced the technical interview, you aced the on-site non-technical interview, and everything is in order, then hey, you got the job. So keep calm because you got the job. But that doesn't mean that you will stay in the job for a while, right? Maybe you were just faking all along, and then you get to the job and they're actually a jerk and they don't like you because you don't work together very well, or maybe you don't really know what you said you knew. Anyhow, I had some tips that have worked very well with me and other friends on keeping the job. It can happen that your first job in the industry is an internship, right? So maybe you're there for 6 months and then they'll reevaluate and say like, hey, you know what, we like you, just come on board, or maybe they'll say, no, we don't like you, just sorry, you're fired. So I got some tips on this. Remember, you're an entry programmer or an entry employee. You're always learning. What what I really mean with this is, if you are going through their code base and there's something that doesn't fit right, or maybe you notice that your approach is not the best one, and then someone's criticizing you and giving you good feedback, don't get too upset. Just learn from it. Just embrace the mistakes that you're committing, because of course you're an entry, right? You're just learning, so remember that. And even if you're a veteran, you're always learning. There are always better ways to do stuff. We're in an industry that software is just going so fast, right? So you always need to keep learning. So don't be scared, or don't be surprised by weird approach to solutions that you haven't thought about. Because maybe they work, it's just that you don't know it. So that's a good one. Follow the design. Again, I know we're a creative industry. We all want to make the game that we want. We want to do the approach that we want. But you're an entry, so just follow whatever your supervisor or the designer is saying. It doesn't mean that you can't suggest stuff. Like maybe there's a design flow that you're seeing, and then you go talk to your supervisor and be like, hey, this doesn't make sense. And he's gonna go like, no, yeah, it makes sense because this, and this. Maybe you convince him, maybe you don't. Anyhow, you just need to follow the design. Don't make Easter eggs. People get fired for that. I remember overhearing in the company that someone was joking about, hey, I'm gonna make an Easter egg, and you never know about it. And he was like, well, if you know about it, you're gonna get fired. And he was very serious about it. So don't do that unless you have permission from your superior. When in doubt, ask. I know this is scary to ask. And a lot of people is very proud. I was very proud of not asking because I wanted to solve the stuff myself. But then you start wasting a lot of time. It happened to me many times in the office, in my company. There's a problem I've been stuck with for 2 days straight, and I find a solution. It's so complicated. And I started talking to a coworker. He noticed me that I'm struggling, and he's just like, "Hey man, what's up?" And I tell him the problem. He's like, "Oh, why you didn't do this, and this?" I'm like, oh, "That would have saved me at least a day on this, a day and a half." So there you go. You didn't waste those days, but because you learn, more about the system, the code base. But it's time that could have been spent somewhere else. So ask. There's always a better solution. If you're spending way too much and you feel, because sometimes you feel, sometimes you feel, okay, this is not the right path. Like, doesn't make sense, but you still do it because you think you don't commit yourself. So just ask. Ask to your coworkers. They've been there for more time than you have been. So just ask them about it. And this is a very important one. Be there when needed. Some companies, in our case, we have core hours. Basically, we start at 10. And we leave at, and normally you do your 8 hours, so you leave around 6, 7 if you count lunch, an hour for lunch. But where I'm going with this is, it's not worth it to get there at 6 a.m. if you can, and leave at 4, because maybe you're the only person at 6 a.m. From 6 to, at least from 6 to 9. So you already worked 3 hours, which is great, but you're still leaving at 4 when there's a lot of people that's still gonna be working until 7. And maybe there's a bug with your build and your changes and you're not there, and it's like, and the build crashes and there's nothing you can do because you're sleeping in your house. So be there when needed. If the core hours are 10 to 6, be there 10 to 6. If you want to get earlier, but still stay until 6. Stay that amount of time that someone can reach you out and be like, hey man, what happened with the build? There's a problem there, look, that's gonna fix it. So that's a big one. Just be there. That's very important. And again, network. Talk with people in the company. Maybe you're not going to be in the company in that company forever. So you already have some good friends in there, and maybe you will start a company later, or they will leave the company, go to another big company, and they're looking for a job. You can ask them, hey, do you have any openings? And there you go. You have another job there. Just make friends with everyone. It's always good, and you're going to feel better in the company if you have people, if you're friendly. If you're a friendly person, that's always gonna work in your favor. So, let's see. Okay, well, so that's about what I have from, looking for a job, landing the job, and being in the job. That worked very well for me. As I said, I started looking for a job 3 months before I graduated. I got many interviews, of course, a lot of rejections. But don't be afraid of that. Rejection just will make you stronger. I know that sounds cliche, but that's actually true. I perfectly remember that I only had 2 phone interviews and personal interviews that I was completely confident that I got the job. And one was with the actual job that I had, and another one was after the job that I had, which I had to reject because I already accepted the other one. But to get to that point, I passed through 30 plus interviews. Maybe you're lucky, maybe on your 3rd interview you're already done and you have a great job in the industry. But don't be let down, don't be discouraged by rejection. It will just make you stronger, it will just make you a better interviewee. So now I'm going to talk about some skills that are going to help you on standing out across all the other candidates. This is basically what I do in the office every time. This is what I hear my other colleagues and friends talk about what they do every day. So this is more engineer oriented. So the biggest one, which is the meat and potatoes of, I would say, every video game studio, every company that has some sort of code base, source control. Source control is amazing. It keeps track of all the version control, or all the different versions of your game or your project or everything. It keeps track of your additions, changes, deletions. You can go back if you crashed. So it's a great skill to know. It's perfect. It's if you don't know it right now, learn it. There are pretty good free ones. The most used in the industry are Perforce, Plastic, Subversion, but Perforce you need to pay for it, and it's very expensive, and it's not worth it for just one person. But there are free ones. There's Git. Git is a pretty good source control, and the good thing about source control is that as soon as you learn one, after you understand source control, you can just learn the other ones, right? It's just about syntax and commands and what makes each source control unique. So source control, very important. I use Git for my personal projects with Bitbucket as a private repo, and I just keep using that just to keep practicing. The main flow of source control is pull, work, commit, pull again, and then push, basically. That's what you need to always do. Maybe sometimes merge, but that's more complicated. But that's the gist of it. So learn source control. If you don't know it, learn it, and use it on all your projects. Game engines. Chances are that when you graduate college, you're not going to go and build the engine for a company. Mostly, they already have an engine, or they're already using a big commercial engine, or they have their own framework. But it's very rare that an entry is going to work on making their own engine, right? So just learn one of the commercial engines that are free right now that you can just learn for yourself. Unity, Unreal Engine 4, it's the complete engine is at your hand. You can just go through the whole source code and go through it and just learn a lot from the code base. Game Maker Studio, it's a great 2D engine too. So if you learn these engines, you're going to practice how to get familiar to a code base, and that's a pretty good skill when you get to a job where they already have a code base, and you just have to go through it and understand what it is about. So if you already know engines, also maybe the company's already using Unity, and you have been using Unity for game jams and personal projects. So don't think that's a pretty good plus for them. They don't have to train you on Unity. So use them. Just make personal projects with them. Go to game jams and use them and learn from them. And as we discussed before, problem solving and critical thinking is one of the most important skills they're looking for. Of course, they're looking for that you know their language, the programming language that they're asking for. Maybe for Unity you need C#, right? So you need to know C#, or just a big set of programming languages. The thing is that when you already know a programming language, you can learn any programming language. That's why problem solving is so important. Because if you know how to code, if you know how to write optimized code for performance or for memory, then you just need the tools to do it, and that's the game engine, that's the source control, that's the programming language. If you have it all in here, the rest is just learning and being a week, just reading the documentation and understand it. So in order to enhance this, just keep looking for coding challenges online, try to do stuff on your own, stuff that you wouldn't normally do. Like for example, there's a C++ function, the alpha to integer. just make your own and see how it works and compare it against the C++ function and see which one is better, the STD, C++ STD function, and just keep comparing it, and you will learn a lot from that. So another skill that is involved in this in problem solving is also debugging skills. Practice debugging, learn how to debug with your editor. You're gonna debug a lot. I mean, maybe you're already debugging a lot. If you're almost to graduation, you already debugged a lot of your projects and went using breakpoints and caveman debugging, and you made unit tests. Just do that. That's gonna save you a lot of time in the future. So, well, so that's about the main gist of the presentation. I have some general advices that I want to, just keep transferred to you. Just do it. Apply. As Michael Scott says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? So maybe you see the job application for Bethesda and you say like, oh, I'm not ready for that. Even when it is an entry application, it's an entry position, and you're scared like, oh no, they're gonna want me. Just do it. You never know what's gonna happen. So just apply for every job you're interested in. Apply for jobs that maybe you don't even see yourself in them, but you think that that job will give you access to the next job that you really want. So just apply, just do it. Do that personal project that you've always been wanting to do it for. Reach out to the company. If they don't have job openings, just send them an email like, hey, I'm always interested in your company. Is there any chance that we could talk about openings, or just for me to go to your studio and see what's going on there? So just do it, seriously. I can't stress that enough. Embrace rejection. I've already talked. You're gonna receive a lot of emails saying, hey, we appreciate your time, you're an amazing candidate, but we actually decided for another person, which is better than you, basically. Or not, or it actually fits their culture best, their culture better, as we already talked about. But don't worry about it, don't sweat it. Just keep applying for other jobs, keep growing your portfolio, keep growing your network, keep going to game jams, just keep growing as a professional game developer. And have fun, right? Just keep yourself motivated, keep playing games. It's not all about the job. When you finally land the job, don't forget that why you're there, right? You're there to make games, you're there to be happy, you're in the gaming industry, right? You're there to have fun. So keep playing your games, keep learning from the games too, and keep working on personal projects. Stuff that projects that actually motivate you and gets you going. So let's see. Okay, so I have some good resources that I pretty much on a daily basis I went through. Gamma Sutra has pretty good articles every weekday. They have amazing articles of business, of what's happening in the industry, a lot of blog from professionals that you can go through and learn a lot from them, so that you keep yourself updated, which is very important. GDC Vault, that's an amazing resource to have. It's just a lot of lectures from GDC, the Game Developers Conference. They're just free for you to have there and just watch them and learn from them. Okay? There's a lot of good information there, and it's free. Well, up to a certain point. I think that some videos are free and others you need to pay for a subscription and whatnot. But there's a lot of good stuff that's free. I put the Unreal engine for documentation, not only to learn Unreal, but they also have very good blogs on how the engine works. So you can learn a lot just by going to those blogs, just learning from how they implement features, how they do rendering, how they do the physical-based rendering, how they do the collisions, everything. It's very interesting, even if you are not very interested in learning how to make the engine, you at least know how it works. And these are two books that I read before looking for jobs. They're pretty good. The Programming Interviews Exposed gives you a lot of tips of how to ace the technical interview. It also gives you a lot of examples and teaches you what's the best way to solve them. And this was a pretty good one. Are you smart enough to work at Google? It's just a lot of brain teasers, and it shows you how you should just how to think outside the box to solve some weird questions that they may ask you. They don't do this too much anymore because the questions were just too absurd. Like I remember one question that they say in the book, that it goes like this: if you were an ant and you were inside a blender, how would you get out? No, sorry, if you were very small, like the size of an ant, and you're inside of a blender, how would you get out of the blender? right? The solution is pretty good. It actually makes sense. It's physics, but I will leave that up to you. But it has a question like that, and if you manage to answer that in a creative way, as I said, it doesn't matter the answer. It matters how you get there. They're just evaluating your creative way of how you will actually, solve that issue, how you will jump out of the blender. And okay, that's about it. That's a presentation. I'm a non-citizen. I'm from Caracas, Venezuela. Are there any international students here today? 2? Awesome. So I think we still have enough time. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how to find a job in the States, being international student. Because it's very similar of being just being an American recent graduate, but of course there's a job permit that you need to have, and that's the optional practical training. You get this just by graduating. You have 1 year to find a job in the States, and just working that in the company. If you're in a STEM program, if you are like in science, technology, engineering, math, you can renew that OPT for 2 years if your employer it's E-Verified, which is a government program to make sure that to keep track of the company. And then you have 2 more years, so you have basically 3 years as an international student just by graduating here in the States. So if you're international and you want to work here, just take advantage of this. Of course, most companies, they don't know how international stuff works, and they're scared of it, and they will go like, okay, we don't want you because you're international. We don't want to handle with that. So through the interview process, don't mention the international stuff until they ask you, or until you're so far that you need to be safe and tell them, hey, I'm international. You need to explain very well. If you understand the process and you can explain very simple to them, they're going to be confident and they're going to go like, okay, we actually like you a lot, so we're going to go through this process. Being an international, it's very simple to find a job. You don't need to do anything. You have your OPT and that's all. That's your education. That's your EAD, right? That's your document to actually find a job. Employment authorization document. So there's nothing weird that a company needs to do. To renew it, if the company is not E-Verified, they have to E-Verify, and that's just 15 minutes. It's a 15-minute process that they have to do. So just talk with them, be very nice about it, be very friendly. Just like, hey, I need to renew my OPT, I want to stay here in the States, I want to work with you, so can we do this? Well then, and after you have those 3 years, you try to apply for a work visa. That's the sponsorship. That can be harder, but if you're a very good talent, if they like you, that's why it's so important to network and being friendly with everyone in the company and to showcase your skills. If they like you so much, they're going to try to sponsor you. So that's basically the gist of it. Again, what I want to take away as an international, just explain it very well. Just make sure that they know that you're confident of how the process is about. For me, it was a little bit frustrating because I almost got 2 job offers that I got rejected because they told me that they were not looking for sponsoring anyone right now. And I got verified in the interview and I was like, okay, I guess, thank you. But I got to this company, Gavarle Jones, which they were very nice about it. The HR representative, she was like, I never done this before, but let's do it. We want you to be here. So if you really like them, they're going to do their best to have you with them. And that's all. Thank you very much. So I have a Q&A. If you have any questions about anything, it doesn't have also to be about the presentation, it can be about the industry. Any questions you may have. So. Yep.
You said it was a good idea to have like business cards as students, but as a student, or I don't know if it's just me because I don't really understand what I would put on a business card. Is it just like a card that has your name on it and then like an email and a phone number?
Yeah, basically you will have your name. If you have like a logo of your brand or anything, you can put that too. But it basically just has your name and contact information. If you went to a game jam and you were very good with your team and you just want to keep contact from you, of course you will give other stuff, but maybe someone else saw you and like, okay, you were the artist from that? Yeah, and then you just give them your card. It has your name, has your phone number, has your email, and what you do, of course. What you do if you're a programmer, developer, or software engineer, or artist, 3D content creator. And just make sure that your business card is creative, that it has something that they will remember it for, and that in the back has like a white background, so people normally write something. So they will write, oh right, this guy's from the Global Game Jam, okay, and then they will just keep note of that. Yeah, what's up?
Would you recommend having like a QR code the person could scan to get to the website?
Yeah, if it's fast for people to just see your code and just get your information, then that's great. What you want is basically just make sure that it's a fast interaction. Just like maybe they have to go, and they're like, oh man, I have to go, give me some information, and just give them your card. But if you have some time, maybe you have that QR code, and that's more than enough. So that would actually make you stand out a little bit because you have a QR code, and it's like, oh man, that's so cool, you have your own QR code, and that makes you stand out. So yeah, it's always a good idea. Yeah.
I have a friend who is an amazing coder and he always wants to learn more and more and more. But he's been getting a lot of rejections lately, and I want to encourage him, but I haven't been in that position, and I'm not a programmer either. So I'm wondering, what do you kind of tell yourself after rejection? Because you said embrace rejection, that's usually kind of hard to do when rejection kind of feels like a spiny thing that wants to hurt you. So what kind of techniques maybe that you do to power through to, okay, I'll get them next time?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's hard because sometimes you think you're so far. I mean, you're so far in the interview that you went to the on-site interview, and then suddenly, no, we're sorry, we don't want you anymore. That hurts, and it's a hit to your confidence. But at the end of the day, you just need to keep going. Just keep applying for jobs, and if you really want to be in the industry, remember that you don't need to be in a company to be in the gaming industry. Like, accessibility is, knowledge for video games is so accessible today that you can make games by yourself, learning everything from internet, right? As I said, you have Unity and Unreal to just learn about them and just make games for yourself. So what I would say to that person is just keep applying and just keep getting better. If you can, just get feedback from the employer of why they rejected you. They don't normally do that, but you can ask if you actually had a good relationship with them. Just ask them and just get better for that. And as I said, just keep growing your portfolio. Just keep learning. If they didn't accept you, it was either because you don't fit in the culture, someone else had a contact in the company, and they were like, okay, yeah, we have this guy we just found in the job listing, but we have this other person that Timmy knows from college, and he's amazing, so they just put him in. That's another reason. So, but again, an advice is just power through. Just keep working on your own stuff, because that will keep you motivated. Of course, you're gonna get rejections, but as long as you have that personal project that you're always working on, and you just keep making it better, that will always keep you motivated while you decide you're applying for jobs. Yeah.
So, as a programmer who's been dealing with a lot of not even getting interviews, I was looking for ways to try to spruce up my portfolio, and I haven't really been sure like what kind of coding examples I could put in my portfolio. Like, I had a list of all the games that I've worked on, and I talked about what work I've done on it, but I'm not sure what I can put for coding examples, because I've got, these few dozen scripts that I've written up for various games, but I don't know, I just feel like it's just scripts, I don't know.
Yeah, do you have any idea of what you want to do? Any specialization in particular, like rendering or AI or gameplay?
Gameplay, I guess.
Gameplay? So, any idea of code samples will be, maybe this is a shot in the dark, but you can work on some, on a state machine that handles that's a whole system, it's a whole game flow system of that handles the flow of the game. So if you have like a very robust game, what's the word for that? game state machine of the whole, that handles the game flow, the gameplay of the whole game, that's actually pretty good to see. That it's something that, just make sure that it's something that you can reuse in different projects, because then that can actually appreciate all the design patterns that you may have used on that code sample. So you're gonna be like, okay, well, this guy actually is using this one piece of code that he wrote once, and he's reusing it for other projects, and hell, we may be even able to use it if we wanted to. I mean, maybe they're not gonna do it because they already have like their code base, but they see that you made it with that intention. That's something well to do. Just do code that you can reuse, like simple projects, like maybe a camera manager. You want to do a very robust, flexible camera manager that you can reuse towards different games, and they will appreciate that too. So I would say that, just sample codes of systems that you can, gameplay systems that you can recreate.
Okay.
Does that help with it?
Not especially, but thanks anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk more later, be more specific about it.
Yeah.
Oh. Any more questions?
Yeah, you mentioned networking is a very valuable tool, and LinkedIn is a good tool as well. I would say, how do you deal with, sometimes LinkedIn isn't always the most reliable source, just because a lot of people don't look at LinkedIn when they have it, but they usually forget that they have it, that exists, and sometimes the connections that they have, that your friends have, are just connections that they barely know, or something like that. How do you deal with that kind of, how do you deal with that? You know, if you don't get the results you're looking for, how do you deal with that kind of thing?
It's just what I said before, right? Just try. So if you see that connection, I totally understand what you're saying. Like sometimes those connections are just lost. But just try to reach to a friend and say like, hey, do you still know this person? And he will just tell you, oh no, hell no, we haven't talked for so much time. And then you lose that opportunity. But it's true that a lot of people don't use LinkedIn, they forget about it, but there's people that still uses it, and recruiters that still use it and try to reach out to people. If you have a very good LinkedIn profile, you can also look for jobs there, and recruiters will reach out. That happens every time. I've been having some recruiters reach me out. Of course, some of them are just generic. They just find like some people that fit the profile that you will just send an automatic mail. But if you respond to them, they will engage with you and send you an interview or just schedule a talk. So again, just try to talk with those connections and make sure if they don't use LinkedIn anymore, just ask them like, hey, do you use LinkedIn? Oh no, man, I never checked LinkedIn. Then just remove that connection and just try to get the information through somewhere else. Call it Facebook, text messaging, or any other type of social media.
Also, for a connection that you're not really close friends, but you met them and you linked in with them, and they happen to have a connection that you would like to reach out to, how do you approach them with that? I mean, or if they're part of a company that you'd like to work at, how do you approach them?
So the best way to make that process easier is to maintain contact with them through how, like, always, right? Not just when you need the job, but just always keep checking on them. Like, let's say you met them 2 months ago, like every certain number of weeks, just hit them up like, hey man, how you doing? How is the work at EA going? And he will talk to you about that. So the important thing is to maintain contact, so when the moment comes, it's more easy, and it's more easy to ask for help, for a helping hand. So it was definitely just go and ask them like, hey, how's it going? I just applied for an intern position in your company. Do you think you can, help me out? Or do you think you can pass my name around? Or you can be more honest about it. You can just be like, hey man, I'm unemployed right now. I just graduated college, or I just left the company I was working on. Do you have any intern positions at your company? Just stuff like that. It's better to be direct. Don't be fake and don't be hypocritical, I think that's the word. Just be honest. Just be, hey man, but of course, don't be too direct. Don't be too aggressive. Like, hey man, I need a job. I'm desperate now. Just be friendly. Again, be honest, but be yourself, but be your nicer self. So ask them, hey, are there any intern positions at your company? No, I'm sorry, man. And they just go like, okay, if you hear anything, let me know. If you have any other friend that has some openings, just let me know. that's the most you can do. So just keep contact constantly. Yeah.
I kind of find the term like culture fit to be kind of nebulous as a term. Like, do you have any personal examples of companies that you've applied for and you felt like that fit your culture?
What do you mean?
I mean, because like you brought up like a culture fit, and so like people can be rejected if they don't fit with the culture of the company itself. Like, do you feel like you have any personal examples of that?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Basically, I have a friend that you know, Total Rock Studios, the creators from Revolt. He got an interview with them. He got to the on-site interview, and he actually he aced the technical interview, and he went there. But he mentioned me that he didn't actually had a very good time with them. Like, I mean, they talk about the job. They were a little bit. It didn't fit his behavior, his personality. So it wasn't part of the culture of the company. So they were like, well, we don't want someone that first is not comfortable with us, and second, he wouldn't know how to work with us. That's one part of the culture. Another part of it is, let's say, in Google, if I'm not wrong, they promote the group offices. Like, you have 4 cubicles, but they are in one same space, so they can talk with each other. And maybe you don't like that. Maybe you prefer to be on your own cubicle and just work on your stuff and be done and just go home. But that's the culture of that company. So you will not fit there because they encourage group work, right? So that's part of the culture. That's what I mean, the culture. That you basically feel good there, that you're just one more of the club, you know, that you're part of them. That's what I mean a little bit of the culture. So. Anything else? What's up?
What specific attributes would you say are part of the culture of the company you work at?
Well, we're very laid off. We're very flexible. That was my first. I was very shocked by that. Like, normally you would expect, you know, for a job, in any job, to be strict. Like, hey, you need to let me know when you leave. Make sure that you stay 8 hours, or you can't do like half day. I mean, they only want you to go from 10 to, you know, your 8 hours, your core hours, as they said, and you get your stuff done, basically. And I really like that because they give you a lot of confidence of what you're doing. And as I mentioned, we're in an office, and there's 4 programmers in our room, and we just keep constantly talking, and we always have a good time. We're always talking about things, or just making fun, or just talking about other VR ideas and video game ideas. But it's very laid up. It's very calm. No one's very stressed. Like, even when the build is crashing and we have to give a build in 5 hours, people will go to you like, hey man, so your change just broke the build. Can you fix that? Very, very polite about it. That happened to me once, and I had to stay until 11 p.m. just to fix that. But they were very nice about it, and I was nice about it too, because I could have been very stressed about it. I could have been like, oh no, I don't know what I did, and maybe just cry and just roll on the floor because I break the build. But we were in the same page, right? We were like, okay, we know everyone can make mistakes. We're all learning. If I stress you out, if I push you to finish this in a bad manner, you're not going to do it. And I understand that. They understand that. So we're in the same vibe. You know, that's how I would define the culture of the company. It's very laid up. It's almost an indie studio. We work mostly with Sony, but we're more like a second partner with Sony. We have a PS4 exclusive title. It's Drawn to Death. I don't know if you guys heard of it. It's
Nick was here yesterday.
Oh, you already saw Nick. Okay, yeah, he's my producer. He's an amazing guy. Actually, he was my first impression of being laid off in the company. Like, not laid off, sorry, laid back. That's what it meant. Not laid off. Just being very calm about it. Just that was like my first impression. Like, okay, that's good. This is that's what I'm looking for, and that's what they were looking to add someone to the company. Just to be friendly with everyone and just be calm and get your stuff done. Because there can be a lot of flexibility. There can be a lot of, hey, we're friends, but get your stuff done. If you don't get your stuff done, then you're out, basically. So. Cool. Any other questions? Yeah.
If I give you my business card with my LinkedIn on it, can I link with you?
Yeah, for sure. I'll give you my business card, we can connect, and whenever you need a job, maybe hit me up if you keep constant communication, or Lauren just gonna be like, who's this guy? I don't want to talk to him. But no, yeah, I'm just joking. Yeah, for sure. Give it to me, and we can talk about it. So another, yeah, what's up?
What's it like working for Jaffe?
What's up?
What's it like working for Jaffe?
Oh,
For
Jaffe?
David Jaffe?
What do you mean, like working? Like,
Is he like outspoken? Is he? 'Cause
oh
he
yeah,
seems
dude,
like
he's an amazing CEO. Like the image that I have for a CEO was to be, you know, as I said before, straight. Hey, we need this, we need this, we need this. And he's just very funny. He's very sarcastic. He, as I said before, if there's a problem or there's something that's working, he will just work with you about it. And it's weird when he gets stressed out, but he's always a very positive person and always tries to get the best out of our employees. And he's great. He's a very funny guy. I really like his humor and the humor of our game, which has a very specific humor. So he's a great person. That's an amazing CEO.
We can keep this off the record if you want.
I can put it there. Maybe that will give him a promotion. What's up?
Does David swear a lot?
See what?
Does David swear a lot?
Swear a lot?
Yeah.
I will keep that off the record. We all swear.